Hello students, today I am going to teach you chapter 7 of political science, the outcomes of democracy. Already in previous classes I defined you what is the word democracy. All of you know democracy is a Greek word derived from the two words demos and kratia. Demos means people, kratia means administration and rule. So democracy means the rule by the people. Okay, and defined. Abraham Lincoln defined democracy is a government which is ruled by the people, for the people, and of the people. Already in 9th class I taught you, and 10th class also I defined very properly. Now today we will discuss what are the outcomes, expectations we are getting from democracy one by one. Democracy is a better form of government in comparison to monarchy as well as a dictatorship government. It is a best government, and most of the countries of the world prefer this kind of government because it promotes equality among citizens. Is democracy, it promotes equality among the citizens. It gives importance to the equality of the citizens. Second, it enhances the dignity of the individual. Every individual is getting dignity and respect, honor in democratic government. Third is it improves the quality of decision making in this government. In democratic government, whatever the decision taken by the ruler, it is concrete, it is best, it's qualitative. Next is it provides a method to resolve conflict. Whatever the conflicts arise in democratic governments, it is solved by itself. Next is if any kind of mistakes occur in democratic government, it allows the room to correct the mistake through different kind of debates, different kind of discussion. Okay, it allows the room to correct itself. So these are above said 5 outcomes I discussed. These we are expecting from a democratic government, what I discussed just. Next, the most basic outcome or expectation of democracy, it produces a government that is accountable to the citizens, responsive to the needs and expectations of the citizens. It means a democracy or a democratic government is accountable, is responsible to its citizen fully. Whatever the needs, whatever the desires, whatever the demands from the side of the public, it fulfills. Due to it is accountable, it is responsible to its citizens. Not only accountable and responsible, but also it is a legitimate government. Why? Because it doesn't take any decision for the welfare of the public very fast. It takes a decision through different norms, rules, regulations, procedures. Due to whatever the decision taken by a democratic government, it becomes a delay, late. Why? Because whatever the policy and programs are going to implemented by the government in democratic government, especially democratic government, it goes through different norms and procedures. So due to it is called a legitimate government. Are you getting my point, buddy? Is it clear? And another thing I am going to tell, democracy have had greater success today in this world. If democracy is a success, because why democracy is success today in this world? Most of countries prefer democratic government. Why, beta? Because it has a regular and free elections. It conducts regularly and freely the election. Which beta? Democracy. As well as whatever the policy and programs the democratic government is going to implement, going to execute, it gives for the public for open debate, open discussion. In other forms of government, it may be dictatorship and monarchy, there is no chance of open discussion, open debate. But in democratic government, there is a privilege for open debate and open discussion about the policy and programs implemented by the government. Is it clear? Are you getting my point? The democratic government is attentive to the needs and demands of the people. Whatever the people keeps demand and their desires, needs are fulfilled by a democratic government. And democracy is free of corruption, and it is a people's government because the government is chosen by the people. People's own government. A democratic government is a people's government. Why? It is chosen by the people. It is chosen by the people. It is free from corruption. Okay. Now that we are coming to next page, democracy, economic growth and development. Suppose if democracies are expected to have a good government, suppose you are expecting the democratic government should be good, then there must have economic development and economic growth. However, if we will compare all the democratic government and dictatorship government for 50 years, last 50 years, for last 50 years, if we will compare all the democratic government and dictatorship government, then we found the economic development, economic growth of dictatorship government is higher than the democracies. In democratic government, the economic development, economic growth had been less since 50 years in comparison to dictatorship government. But it doesn't mean if economic development, economic growth is less, then people will not choose democratic government. Because economic development, economic growth is not only the indicator, proper indicator of democratic government, but also democracy has several other positive outcomes. It may not be, according to my opinion, it may not be. There is economic growth, economic development. Suppose I am taking example of India. Suppose in India there is no economic development and no economic growth. Proportionately, it is not higher in comparison to China. It doesn't mean we will leave the democratic government. It doesn't mean we will leave the democratic government. Democratic government has many advantages which have been liked by the people. It may not be development, it may not be economic growth, but it has many advantages. And especially the first one is, it is people's government. The power vested in the hands of people, common people. The common people has power. Okay, it is the main advantage, main outcomes. Is it clear? But are you getting my point? Yes. Now that next page we are going, democracy, reduction of inequality and poverty. In our country, India, there are large economic disparity, or we can say income inequality. Means in our India, 5% people have 95% income and 95% people have 5% income. It means rich becomes richer and poor become poorer. And in our country, most of people are living under poverty line. Okay, they are very, very poor. Even they could not fulfill their basic needs of life, food, cloth and shelter. So, here, if we want a good democracy, if you are expecting a good democracy in our India, then we have to reduce the economic inequality, income inequality, poverty. Then we can expect a good democracy in our country, in India. Otherwise, you cannot expect a good democracy if the income inequality, economic inequality and poverty is prevalent in our country. Are you getting my point? But is it clear? Now that next page we are going, accommodation of social diversity. What do you mean by social diversity? Social diversity means the divisions, social divisions. And you know, there are many political divisions, social divisions, there are different castes, there are different religions, there are different caste, creeds, different languages, many social diversities are there. And only the democracy only has the ability to handle these differences, these divisions, these conflicts. It is a plus point outcome of a democratic government, especially the example our country India. It has the ability to handle these social differences, social divisions, different kind of conflicts. Is it clear? Are you getting my point? And not only that, if you want to achieve a good democracy in our country, then we have to take into consideration the two things. One is the majority should always need to work with the minority. Means a majority and minority people should work together. It is first condition if you want a best democracy in India. Second, whatever the decision, in case of every decision, whatever the government is taking decision, or in case of every election, during the time of election, different persons and different groups should come together to make a majority. They should not fight each other. They should not conflict each other. They should come together. They should be united to be majority. If these two conditions will be fulfilled, then we will expect the best democracy in India. Okay, beta, are you getting my point? Now the dignity, next page, beta, dignity of freedom, dignity and freedom of the citizens. It is the best outcome of democracy. It is the best outcome of democracy. What? Dignity and freedom of the citizens. Democracy stands much superior to any other form of government in promoting dignity, freedom of the individual. In other forms of government, it may be dictatorship, it may be monarchy. There is no freedom, there is no dignity. But in democracy, we are getting dignity also, we have a freedom also, we have a liberty, and every citizen is getting his and her dignity and freedom in democratic form of government in compared to other form of governments. And especially the women are given dignity and respect in democratic form of government in compared to other forms of government. Okay, so last I am going to conclude this chapter. Means I am going to summarize this chapter. When people are asked how democracy functions, when there is a discussion among people, how democracy functions, how the democracy works. So people always come up with more expectation and many complaints. People are expecting more from democracy and giving complaint also against democracy. जब कब डिस्कशन होता है among all people, how democracy, how is democracy? So some are expecting more and more from democracy, and some are giving complaint against democracy. Whatever may be, the peoples are complaining against democracy, and they are opined. What opined? The democracy itself is a testimony to the success of democracy. If democracy success, then due to it only. If democracy fails, due to it only. So democracy itself is a testimony to the success of democracy. The statement what is given by the public, that if democracy success due to it only. Its characteristics, its features, its functions. If it fails due to its functions, due to its features, due to its characteristics. Are you getting my point? Is it clear? For example, if a student is considered as a good due to his quality, if a student is considered as a bad due to his quality, so exactly like this democracy. And now that it shows that people have developed their awareness, their ability to expect to look critically at the power holders and the high mighty. Just I told about a student, same manner. If democracy success, so definitely people will develop their awareness. People will have their ability to expect the more and more outcomes from democracy. If the democracy is in the wrong way, if democracy function works in the wrong way, then people will be power holder, people will be mighty, and they will misutilize their power. If democracy in the right way, the people will be expect more and more from democracy, and people will be develop their awareness. If democracy in the wrong way, then people will be what? Power holder and mighty, and they will misutilize their power. Okay, beta, is it clear? Okay, the chapter is over. Okay, so please that watch my video very properly. And regarding this chapter, if any kind of problem, you have any doubt, any query, so directly contact to me. Okay, is it clear? Okay, beta, bye.